zero experience required. Today, we're replacing a garage door spring. This is my first time doing this, and everyone is terrified of me doing it. Just like any of my videos, this one has a bit of danger to it. Hence the warning down below in the description. But unlike all the other ones, when I told people that I was going to do this, they told me to call a pro, don't do it myself, I'm going to get myself injured or killed. Almost everyone verbatim told me that. I did some research, and the worst I could find with this kind of job was one story of hearsay of someone jacking up his hand because he was holding the spring when he released the tension improperly. If you have the right tools, which I highly recommend you get those, I can't see you really hurting yourself on this job. As long as you're careful, not drunk, and not sleep deprived, you should be able to pull this off. If you need immediate access and use of your garage door, the best thing to do is call a professional. It's going to be hard to find your exact spring locally, and you're going to just probably have to order it online, and that's going to take up to a week. Before you order your spring, you need to know what to order. The easiest and quickest way is to see if they left a tag saying what it is. Then just order based off those numbers. If you don't have such a tag, then you need to look at the spring, measure its length, that's one dimension, measure its inner diameter, that's a second dimension, and then measure the wire size. And to do that, you need a caliper. Mine is 0.25. So that's what I ordered. Another thing you want to check out is your cables that run down from this bar down to the bottom of your garage door. If they're frayed in any way, you want to order some replacement cables. So a quick 101 on how a garage door system works. Here's the spring. This is twisted tightly, and this is the part that can hurt you. It is firmly attached to this bracket, which is attached to the frame of your garage. The spring then over here, via two bolts, is attached to this rod. This rod spins freely, but is attached to this, which when it spins, it brings up the wire, which then goes down and is attached to your garage door. To safely get out these two bolts, we need to put more tension on the system. Now we can safely undo those two bolts. Just in case, as you're undoing these two bolts, put the other rod in and make sure you have a hold of it. Make sure to count the turns.
Also, make sure to buy these bars. These are special bars meant for relieving tension on torsion springs for garage doors, as well as adding tension. If you do not buy these bars and try to use something like a screwdriver, that is how you're going to get yourself hurt. You're going to be using these quite a bit. You're going to be doing up to 30 quarter turns, and that is a lot of pressure and a lot of strain on your muscles. I'm not going to fast forward this section so you can see how long your muscles are going to be under tension as you're doing this. Thankfully, you can rest one bar against the garage door if you need to stop. I'm going to recommend you do that if you need to.
9, 10, 12, 13, It's only 25. Huh.
To get the bolts off, I actually had to use a ratchet with a angle adapter because it was just so tight. But if you have a proper wrench, you should be able to get that in. Before you remove these drums, you want to mark the locations. Otherwise, you'll have to do a lot of fiddling to get them back on. And they're going to be hard to move if the person who installed them previously tightened them too much. On the broken spring, you do not have to worry about relieving the tension because it's already gone. So my rod was pretty hard to get moving. It's pretty marred up from people over tightening it, so I just had to fiddle with it, get it to work, and actually I hit it with a hammer in a few spots.
So while trying to force the rod over, I realized that I don't have any room for the rod to get over. So I have two options here. I can cut into this to let the rod to get all the way over, or I could take these off. Now the pack I bought came with a replacement for this, but the replacement's plastic, the old one's a real bearing. I'm going to stick with the real metal bearing. I was struggling a bit because I forgot to loosen these nuts and they're protruding in and when I go in.
So I do another mistake here. I put up the drum precariously and it falls, knocking out one of the bolts going into it and causing probably other damage, which would explain the noise that I see later. But it still works, so yeah.
Now to replace the wires, this is pretty simple. The loop goes on the bottom, this goes on the top. I just wire it like the previous ones. Now, right now would be a good time to put a pair of vice grips on this bar to prevent it from twisting when you want to attach the wires and get them taut. I just realized I don't own a pair. I'm shocked. I thought I did. Replacing these wires, it's much easier to go from the top down. Here's something comical. As I went to put the bolts in, they ended up being too short.
That's because the new spring brackets were thicker than the old ones. So after a trip to the hardware store, I got the correctly length bolts, and it worked. The thing to know about this is the more you turn it, the harder it's going to get. And when I untwisted the old one, I counted 25 turns. We ended up actually having to do 27 turns, but we originally did 30 turns, and that actually was too much. So I was told 30 when I did my research, but 27 is what we ended up doing. Another thing is I make a mistake here, where I actually don't keep hold of one of the bars, and then I ratchet it up. If that bar had fallen out for some reason, I could have got hurt. One nice thing is because you can rest the bars against the garage door, if you're getting fatigued, you can stop anytime. Just put the bar in there firmly, carefully lower it to the garage door, and just recuperate. It's better to do that instead of continue when your muscles are about to fail. This does require a bit of effort, and I, frankly, wore out a little bit doing this.
Oh, look at that. It made the door come up all by itself.
That's because I wound it too tight.
Okay, so we have a conundrum here, where I put 30 turns on it like I was told. The garage door just wants to go up. So we're gonna have to remove some turns. Now we replace the spring, should be as easy to open up as this. So everything's working, but there's this noise that I just can't figure out. And it's going to happen right up when the garage reaches the top.
So if you know what that noise means, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thank you, and bye.